Resilience is her name and leadership is her game. Overcoming a major head injury, a 3-letter agency came and shut down her brick and mortar health business, and so much more. My mentor and really good friend, LeAnn Lyon, inspires me daily, and I just can't wait for you to listen and learn from her today. But first,
facing head-on the emotions beneath the surface as we bridge from an old world of confusion and lack to a beautiful new world of freedom, abundance, and love with straightforward truth and inspired hope is what you'll find on The Charla Anderson Show. Collector and connector of fascinating people. And everyone is fascinating. Here's your host, Charla Anderson.
well, good, beautiful day, beautiful, beautiful souls. This is Charla Anderson, host of The Charla Anderson Show, collector and connector of fascinating people, and everyone is fascinating, especially you. Resilience is her name and leadership is her game. Overcoming a major head injury, a 3-letter agency came and shut down her brick and mortar health business, and so much more. My mentor and really good friend, LeAnn Lyon, inspires me daily, and I just can't wait for you to listen and learn from her today. But first, we're going to do our little 22-second mini vacation. We're going to take in that calm for 7 seconds. We're going to hold for 4 seconds, and we're going to breathe out gratitude for 11 seconds. So here we go. Can you breathe in some calm with me? Here we go. Hold. Relax, release. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's do that multiple times a day. Get centered. Woo, be still and know. Love it. So I love LeAnn Lyon, and she is literally a leader's leader. And she is a mentor to me in so many things, in so many ways. And so I'm so excited to have her back she's the reason I have this show is on WinWinWomen Network, which is changing as we speak. And she's done so many wonderful things in my world, and I've met her in person, which is awesome. So many people were Zoom friends, right? LeAnn, hey girl, tell me, let's talk about you. Let's find out what's going on in your world and who you choose to show up as.
Well, thank you, Charla. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be here at this time with things that are going on in the world and in our world, and on the big picture and on the smaller picture. My main, again, for anybody doesn't know me, LeAnnLyon.com is a great way to get to know me. That's right here in the corner for those of you watching the show. Anybody listening on the podcast, I'll just give you a quick spelling. LeAnn is only 5 letters, LeAnn. Lyon is only 4 letters, LYON.com. And it's amazing how many people can spell that wrong. Absolutely amazing. But, when you go there, you find out that I'm the Chief Joy Officer of Joyminder, LLC, where we help entrepreneurs unleash their joyful business journey. And it truly is my passion. It always has been my passion. I've been developing it, though, ever since what you mentioned, the abrupt and very unwanted and unexpected shutdown of a brick and mortar company in 2019. So changes are not unexpected, but growth is also, for me, not optional.
Say that again. Change is inevitable. Misery is optional, but you said it in a cooler way.
Yeah, growth for me is not optional. I just have to. When you hit a stumbling block, you just have to find another way to do something, even if it's not maybe what you thought was going to be your ideal. I mean, I had pretty much mapped out what my next 6 weeks were going to be, and it involved helping to do better videos on YouTube for a product that we both use that really is amazing for entrepreneurs. I was going to redo all of the explainer videos, and I was really excited to do it. Meanwhile, I was also going to be preparing for my upcoming summit, which I do 3 times a year, called the Restart Your Business Summit. And as you can imagine, there's a bit of work involved with that. You have to find your speakers, make sure that they're knowing what they need to know, and you got to find guests. There's a lot of juggling to get ready for a summit. So I thought, those 2 items, that'll be plenty. But then one of my businesses started to take off. I also have a healthy coffee business. Yay! And recently, several new health professionals have picked up the coffee, which is wonderful. But now they all need training. So, okay, well, one more thing. I can do one more thing. And then people near and dear to me, you included, we found out that we are going to be making a shift to our podcasts. And so if you're listening to this in the future, this has potentially already happened and we're all happy and going. But in this transition, it was unexpected. And there's just a lot for each of us to do. And many people aren't quite as strategic as I am. And so, again, like you said, I helped bring you into this event and into this place. I very much want to be part of helping you find and land in another comfortable spot. I take that very personally. And so why not 4 things all at once? Because that's where I'm at.
Not to mention marriage and kids and life, that keeps lifing, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah. So what we're talking about clearly is we got a letter a couple weeks ago that the WinWinWomen platform that we've loved and been a part of for 2 or 3 years is having to shut down for financial reasons primarily. So we're all scrambling. All the show hosts are scrambling to find another place. So this, most of us will land somewhere, but what is incredible to me about you, LeAnn, is this. I mean, before the ink was dry on the email, right? It was you reading it, and you are coming up with a plan to help all of the show hosts, not just me and your friends. We've got quite a few friends there, but all the show hosts. And and offering and training and leading, and you're a teacher. You were a teacher by trade, right? And you are amazing at that. And I'm always just kind of in awe. And all these things go on, and then you come in on your Leaders League or the shows, the things that you are doing, so strong, so composed, and so you're doing what leaders do. You take the lead, and that doesn't mean you aren't impacted, doesn't mean you aren't truthful or honest in letting people know, but you are very, very, very comforting to watch. To know that you're going through all this stuff and you still have an amazing time
It's I think you and I are faithful women, and I know that the gift of teaching, but also the gift of leadership is just one of my gifts. There are tests you can take. They're not hard to find, called spiritual gift tests, and leadership is always right at the top of mine. I'm not prophecy is not, and I'm okay with that. But, taking the lead and getting things done, that's just is who I am. And that, I believe, was placed in me long, long, long before I was even a sparkle in my parents' eye, to speak. But it showed up. And here's where it showed up, is even as a child. And I encourage anybody listening, if you want to figure out what your seeded greatness was, let yourself go back to being a child. Even Jesus said, let the children come to me. But, children, when you're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, you're not independent. But a 5-year-old can get dressed by themselves, and a 9-year-old can take care of themselves for a brief amount of time at least. You're fairly independent, but you're also not so taken up with the world and letting the world tell you as much who you are. Now, granted, our families can have huge impact. There are terrible families out there, sadly, that can have detrimental effects on their children. But if you can, think about what you did when you could play, when you could just be free to do anything you wanted to do. What did you do? And for me, I would teach. I would actually make up worksheets and give them to my friends and time them. Like, how fast can you get this worksheet done? Or I would play school. That's what I did. And if there's one leadership position that every child can understand, it's teachers. So that was the leadership role that I could most imagine, that in television, I suppose, looking at anchors and so forth. And well, that's what I'm doing today. And it makes me a very, very happy person.
And you're so good at it. I mean, obviously, you've had a lot of practice. But you're also, LeAnn, and by the way, I believe we have some guests coming in or visitors coming in, and I'm so thrilled with that. And if you have any, you want to ask questions or whatever, we're open for that, So I'm
in the chat.
Sure. Yeah, put them in the chat, and LeAnn will look at them because she's got her new glasses on. But anyway, it's too far away for me to see. So, or raise your hand or come on camera. I don't know. We're all cool here. But I wanted to go back over something. Now, I know you're an entrepreneur's entrepreneur and a techie. You're a techie, and you sold your first program when you were 11 years old. That you wrote a program for bought your, I don't know, tell the story because
it's all good. I just, computers excited me, and by 11 years old I'd already been using a computer for a couple of years. My parents had bought a brand new Commodore 64. You can barely buy a thumb drive that has 64 or less on it now. But that was an entire computer at that time. And I'd learned how to program. As soon as I saw a computer, I wanted to know, how did it do these things? And I learned that it was programming, and then I learned how to program. And so I saw my mom sitting at the table. She was a bookkeeper, and she was 10 keying for like weeks. And it was happening every year. I hadn't realized it, but I asked her what she was doing, because kids are generally naturally curious about their parents. But she told me, and I said, Mom, I could write a computer program that would do that faster. And she's like, no, it's really da-da-da. And I thought, no, she's wrong. So I did it. I just made it. It was only a 5-line program, but she explained what she was doing, exactly what she was doing. And by creating a program and not relying on a human to do all the 10 keying, because there were some automated things in it, now only 2 numbers had to be inputted instead of 10, and there was just less room for error. And so she presented it to her boss, and he paid me for it. And then he paid me $5 an hour to run it, which probably was a steal for him versus paying my mom overtime on the weekends to do this same thing.
I think that's so fascinating. I'm 11 years old selling. I'm a teacher, and I'm a computer junkie and a tech nerd before there was such a thing. And so you're a forward thinker. But I want to, because I know that you've had some horrific things going on, and you had a massive head injury, right?
I did. Yeah, that was super fun. My senior year in college, I was heading down a hill on my bicycle, calculus book in the left hand. I had switched to a math major instead of computers, and just lost control of my bike. And in the 1980s, we were not yet wearing helmets. This was technically in 1990. Still weren't wearing helmets. And I hit a parked car and went flying, and woke up being airlifted to the Twin Cities in Minneapolis. And then woke up one more time in the emergency room, and then fell asleep for a week.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm sure that it was touch and go, life threatening, it sounds like, probably. And then,
yeah. They kept me there for a week just to see if the brain would swell. I do have brief memories here and there. I was mismedicated by a new nurse. She gave me either 10 or 100 times more of a medication than she should. She temporarily gave me diabetes, which thankfully reversed. But that was a problem with a head injury. And when it came time to go and they realized I was in the safe zone for my brain not swelling, they just sent me home. There was no cognitive training. There was no support. There was no PT. And I was barely able to walk. I definitely couldn't read. Reading would make me throw up. And they just said, oh, it'll pass. And it did. But it was just amazing to me. And I think back, that's now 40 years ago, I guess. Something like that, 1990. What's the math on here? 35 years ago. And math major, haha. But yeah, we've come a long way. And I think in many ways, Western medicine is amazing. And I think we would have done much more for me in that same situation today. I also think we've gone the wrong way in many cases. Not everything is a disease. A head injury is not a disease. And many people almost act as if it is. Say, oh, you have a TBI. No, I had a traumatic brain injury. Yes, it still impacts me, but it's not a diagnosis. I have symptoms. And I think if we could, and again, I came from a health and wellness background as well. I had a brick and mortar. So many people would say, well, I've got, or I am, or I have fibromyalgia. I am diabetic. And I wish I'd known then, even work in that business, what I know now. These often aren't, like I said, diagnoses as much as they're symptoms. Yes, something is going on with your pancreas that's giving you diabetes, but what's causing the pancreas to do that?
So yes, yeah, and you and I are very similar on the medication side of things, mm-hmm. that is, or the pharmaceutical side of things, because you were in the health business and a lot of those kind of businesses, including yours, got shut down because they were helping people. They were healing people, so to speak. And so there's been a long-term process, and you are so on my path of don't speak what you don't desire, right? So don't claim a dis-ease.
Don't claim, right.
Don't claim it. You don't say I am or I have something. You can say I've been diagnosed with, it's over here, I'm taking care of it. But this is, every word matters. This is this book, Split Second Transformation. Absolutely. Change your words, change your life. 31 daily practices. Every word matters. And speaking your desire, which is of the Father or of God or of the giver, instead of want. I've recently been reminded that want is kind of lack. So I tried to quit saying I speak what you want. I say speak what you desire.
I love that. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And that's been a big reminder for me. And I want to, when I revise that book, I'm going to have to change that, because it's in there. Speak what you want.
Yeah, I think somebody pointed out recently, there's nobody anywhere that has a blood pressure medication lack. If you need blood pressure medication, it's not because you're lacking the medication. If you're having a blood pressure issue, find out what's causing it. There's so much knowledge out there, and maybe you have to look outside of Western medicine in order to, and I'm not saying go all the way to Asian medicine or anything like that. We're not talking voodoo, but look at what other countries know. Why are other countries not allowing things like BHT into their food supply, or dyes into their food supply, and yet we've been allowing it for the past 15, 20 years. So look into those things and consider what those side effects are, then take a look at what your symptoms are, and you might have a whole different perspective on what's going on, and I wish more people would do that.
And listen to, if God can create it, he can heal it. Listen to your body. And I will say this for an instance, in what we're just talking about. And this is so not, I don't think what we were going to talk about, but it usually isn't. So but if you're on these blood pressure medicines and you're not allowed to eat grapefruits. But if you eat grapefruits, your blood pressure goes down. So what's that about? You might want to start asking things like that.
Right.
Yeah. So there's, what's going on in this pharmaceutical driven world. So I think that I am so incredibly grateful that those times are changing right now. I believe we're in a shift to the more holistic looking way of taking care of our bodies.
Super grateful for technology. In fact, I was just telling you, I just got my new Lumen, which is, another piece of technology that is designed to help me know my body better. But it's not a medication. I'm not inhaling anything except air. I'm not exhaling anything except air with varying levels of carbon dioxide in it. It's reading those levels and it's telling me if my body is burning more carbs or more fats, and then advising me as to how I can adjust my diet and my exercise so that I can do more fat burning. But I actually don't just focus on that. They actually call it metabolic flexibility. And after I've used it for a little while, the ideal is that my body can easily shift between now we're burning carbs and now we're burning fat. It's not healthy for our body to do one or the other, because either one ultimately will be destructive when we're supposed to be able to switch back and forth between them in different situations. There's a lot difference between sprinting and walking. Can you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you need a different form of energy for the two of them. You can't sprint 26 miles, but you can walk 26 miles. But you need you're going to draw from a different type of energy for that. So technology can be lovely. It's not inexpensive, but it's lovely. And if it's used the right way, it can, I believe it can really help us get away from the incessant, oh, just get another poke, just get another vaccine. I'm at the age for sure where they're saying, oh, you need this vaccine and that vaccine and this. Now they want me to get 3 or 4 vaccines all at once. And I'm like, yeah, that's not happening.
No, that, they have no culpability. And since the 80s, when the kids would get
1976. I just learned that 1976. That's when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they took away the culpability, which is crazy to me.
And it's now a child gets 72 vaccines, and not on my watch if I can help it. I'll just say that because, yeah. So,
but I'm still very much a tech nerd. I did have the wellness company. I'm grateful for all I learned and the impacts that I have. I still use a lot of tech things for health, but my main passion really is the solopreneur, the beginning entrepreneur. Term I've been coming up with lately is to inspire the aspiring entrepreneur. That's what I love to do.
Well, and this is great. So you're going back here to where we are right now. So I have this show. I'm in season 3. It's going to change to a different format platform somewhat, but not significantly. You're coming up with a whole new, and because of your help, I'm going to be able to do that with a lot less stress. And all the show hosts can have access to that. And that's so beautiful. Yeah. And your new business, you've got a new podcast coming out called Beyond the Business Plan, Learn, Laugh, and Take the Leap with LeAnn. I mean, I think this Beyond the Business Plan is a huge, I love the name, and it's so up your alley.
Well, I didn't come up with it.
Did AI come up with it?
It did. I use technology. You and I both have access to a platform that knows us, like my platform knows my head injury, knows my story, knows the ups and downs of my life, knows my passion to help solopreneurs. And so when this all came up, I had been thinking about expanding or doing something different. And when I jumped onto this, I'll be on RSS feed now, and I was exploring some of their articles, and they just said, hey, naming your podcast is super important. Here's what you need to know. And so I was reading through that. I actually ended up taking that paragraph, popping it into my personal AI, saying, remembering this, And knowing that I'm passionate about XYZ, please come up with, I don't know if I asked for 3 or 5 different options for a new podcast name. And Beyond the Business Plan is one of the options that I came up with, or something very close to it. I definitely added on the Learn, Laugh, and Take the Leap with LeAnn. But the first part, it was, as soon as I read it, I'm like, that's exactly it. So many people make the plan, but then never execute. They don't know what to do. They get stuck. And it's so important to get past that stuck.
And you break things down so well. That's a gift you have. You take complicated stuff and break it down, and then you offer so much value for your customers, your clients, your friends. You just have a gift of, you're a calming effect on me, and you're inspiring to me in so many ways. And when I know that things are going like this in your world, and you sit here right now having this conversation as all's well, and all is always well.
It is.
All we got is where we are. So
I go back to a couple things. Thank you. I do intend to be generous, sometimes to a fault, but I also know that there's never been a hearse that had a U-Haul behind it. Can't take it with you. And while I do want to and intend to live very well, in the remaining part of this lifetime, I also know that, everybody's got their stuff going on. Once in a while, it has happened. At 9 a.m. on Mondays, I do lead a group called Leaders League, and it's primarily for people like you who use the same software, and we talk about it. We do the updates. I'm going to be turning that into also a secondary playlist, at least on YouTube, maybe another podcast, just because there's always updates. But it's a pretty rare day that I show up there and say, I'm just going to be me today because I'm having a day and I need your input. And it happened recently where and it was about the same time with all this going on. I said, I built 4 websites over the weekend. Most of them are multi-page. I really need some other eyeballs on this stuff. Can you please pour into me today? So you can be a leader all day long, but you also have to know when to ask and who to ask. When to get poured back into when you need it.
Authenticity. It's nobody that I know anyway wants somebody to come in and have all the answers and be a know-it-all. So that's a cooperative group there, and we've built relationship. And I feel like you're really onto something with these. You've got office hours and Q&A times and things that are expanding. And when I met you, we met in the 2023 in the summer. We went to a WinWinWomen retreat. Oh my gosh, that was such a delightful thing to do. Yeah. And I just enjoy you so very much. So that's I feel like God gifted us with the friendship. And
100%.
Yeah.
Well, it takes 2. It takes 2 people. There were a lot of people that I introduced to this platform. There are only a few that I would call friends. I would take anybody's phone call, 100%. And right now I hope to, and I did. I took 3 or 4 phone calls just yesterday, helping people walk through where do we need to go, what do we need to do, inviting them to do what I'm doing, but also showing them other options. Because it's never, I don't feel that. Well, this goes back to when I was a teacher, by the way. I did become a math teacher for 5 years. But my commitment, even with my students, even in math, was to help them understand there's more than one path. There's more than one way to get from where you are to where you want to go. And that's, people sometimes think that, well, that can't be, there's an answer in math. Yes, and there's multiple ways to get to that answer. So in my classroom, I would teach at least 2 or 3, usually 3 or 4 ways to get from where they're starting to where they want to go, so that every student had the opportunity to figure out the path that worked for their individual brains. And that's something I saw no other teacher do. I saw teachers wreck my kids with the one way thinking that they were
Cookie
taught.
cutter.
Cookie cutter. Yep. My oldest, I think, has a really beautiful math brain, but she was turned off to math for 4 or 5 years because of her fourth grade teacher. And I went in and had it out with her. It turns out she went to the same college I went to at the same time, but she didn't understand math. And so she could only teach the one rigid way that she could grasp. And she, this just it goes back to another passion I have, but don't really spend time on it. But I think we need specialists in math all the way back to kindergarten so that kids can learn the way they need to learn. And there are schools that do that. I know what's the one I'm thinking of? Montessori school system can be very, very good at that. Some of the more independent schools are, but I get, the public schools, they're just very rigid. And unfortunately, for the kids that don't have parents that look into every option, maybe who don't know that there are options, they're stuck in our public schools. And I hope that we can see a change in that as well. And, the argument against vouchers and so forth, letting kids go into different schools that will really address their different needs, primarily comes from the fact that it will leave thousands or millions of kids behind in subpar schools. And it really will never, and those schools will not change by removing money from them, unfortunately. And that's a huge argument against vouchers, but, at the same time, but I don't know. It's a very, very, it's an awful situation. I wish that if I could solve one problem in the world, that would be the problem I would probably solve.
Yes, education. It's taken a hard, weird path, and it's very rigid. And I agree with you on that. And you mentioned Montessori, though. But I have a 3-year-old, my 3-year-old grandbaby, and I was looking at Montessori schools recently, and very much reminded that when my oldest child at 2.5 went into Montessori school, and little did I know I was going to have 2 other kids and have 11 years of half-day schooling, which was one year was one morning, one afternoon. Oh my goodness, who knew? But I do recall, and I was just mentioning this to somebody this week, that, Montessori, they had things just their size. They were taught how to use every little thing. They had glass pitchers. They had, knives and cut their own bananas or whatever. And Austin would come in and go, there were times I was a flight attendant. So when I was home and I was going to take him to school, sometimes he had his own alarm. And this is around 3 years old. He had his own alarm, and he would get up and pour his own cereal and get a big old gallon of milk and pour the milk. He'd had it on the chair so he could, reach it, and then put it away and eat his breakfast, and then come get me up to take him to school. So I thought, I was thinking about that. I was like, they can do so much.
Yeah.
If we allow it.
And if we allow it, if we teach it, if we facilitate it. I don't think my kids got to that until they were maybe 4.
He said it when he was 6 years old. We were driving to school, I think, that day. He's like, "Mom, can you believe in just my small speck of a life? I've gotten all these trophies." And he had been I was like, "Small speck of a life." It was
that's precious.
Right. Anyway, I don't know. This bringing up some old memories, but that's funny. You didn't homeschool your kids, though, right? So you were.
No. I had no desire to do that. And again, I'm a product of the public schools. My fun story: when I was 4, my sister was 1. My parents packed us into a station wagon and took us on a 4-month trip around the United States, the middle of the United States. And we went to visit a family that was in Colorado and Utah. And they looked into what they were looking for is, where did they want to live? Where did they want to establish, especially me, in kindergarten, where I would graduate from high school and have a really great educational experience. And so that's what they were looking for. Every single city that we went through, they were touring schools. I didn't know this, I mean, they were looking at other options as well. Did they like the climate? But they're doing this in 1973.
They were
It's not,
hippies. Yeah.
they did not have the internet, they were not Googling things. They had paper maps. And I don't know, were they contacting realtors in each city to get information or what? I have no idea. But yeah, they did an amazing, and then they ended up picking a suburb of Minneapolis because it had, been ranked very, very highly for the school system. I've learned many times over why that was. That unfortunately, that same school is not very good any longer. The city has moved out of the city and into the suburbs. And last time I had to visit there for a transcript, I was quite frankly a little fearful, which is sad because people don't scare me. But there was just, everybody was just so rambunctious, I think. And quite frankly, at some point, I'm a little afraid of getting knocked over. So it wasn't that I was afraid for my life or anything, but there was just not a caring feel. Like I felt like I could get knocked over or bumped in or slammed into a wall, not intentionally and not in a personal way. But it was just a very uncomfortable feeling being in these halls that when I was in high school were very comforting. I loved being in school. So it's sad to see that the school has changed so much. The values of the students have changed so much in many ways.
It's interesting that they ended up looking at climate, ended up in Minneapolis or area or Minnesota, I guess.
To be fair, that's where they started. Mm-hmm. They were raised in Minnesota. Their families were in Minnesota. And really, they ultimately decided both of them are the youngest of their families. They didn't want to be far away from their parents. They knew that a time would come where they would want to be there for their parents. They didn't want to be in Texas and have to hoof it up here last minute for something.
Sounds like they were very circumspect and very, I can see where you get some of that, right? So, and of course they just come out of the 60s, which, kind of a fun, era,
they were
freedom.
Teenagers. Yeah, but they were teenagers in the 60s, mostly. My dad was in the military in the 60s, so he was more of an adult in the 60s. But my mom, she was 21 in 1969 when I was born. So she started the 60s at 12. So I don't, and on a rural farm. So I'm not really sure how 60s her lifestyle really was, actually.
Well, there was some shifts going on for sure because I was there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's fun.
I know you're starting all these things, but you're starting a new podcast and you've got all these things going and you've got multiple. So you've got multiple businesses, and the reason you have Joyminder Solutions is to help us entrepreneurs, people that want to either start, restart, or pivot a business. What is your advice around all that, or your thoughts around how do you manage all that, and what are you providing for?
Well, my real concept, and I probably have never really told you this, Charla, but as we've talked about today, I love technology. That's easy. But I also know that there's so many options out there. And so I don't mind looking at the different solutions, the different ways that you can solve a problem, is, per this whole podcast discussion. Yes, I'm going to go with RSS because I know how to use it. It's simple and it's doesn't really involve a lot of learning and technology. But there are other ways people could do their podcasts and live stream their podcasts. And I'm putting those solutions out there, but I'm not going to use one of them. But I want to have, kind of like going back to teaching, I want to have the right number of solutions and then be able to support people in whichever solution they choose. Now, other times, for instance, with Password Saver, I have the one I use for my calendar link. I don't use Calendly. I use something else because I think it's a better solution than the one that everyone is using, right? So sometimes I just narrow it down and I'm like, hey, we've done all the research. This is the best one that we found. This is the one we're using. And here's how you can have access to it. And then I clump them into tools or connections and then business ideas and then sometimes free things. So
And
there's
resources, all of that is resources.
my, yep.
And so
And lifestyle.
lifestyle, and you offer so many different solutions because you are a researcher and you do. So like, yeah, I'm going to go to RSS just because you are my mentor and I know I will have somebody to ask questions to if I need to and things like that. But you've got the affiliate. See, I love affiliate marketing. I think that, and you're the affiliate marketing's affiliate, right? So you've got your coffee, and you've got nearly all of these things that we can offer. We can have an affiliate link and get a little. And I don't want to call it kickback, but a little reward for sharing it with other people. And I think that's a huge blessing.
Yeah. It is kind of funny. You need to let people know generally this is an affiliate link. And I don't know why we need to do that, but we do. And but that's the FTC ruling. They said like, hey, it's only fair that people know that some of the money that they're spending is going to go to you. Okay. But it's what I find interesting is when people resist using an affiliate link. Like, okay, the company is going to make $29 a month no matter what. And if you use my affiliate link, they're going to give me $2.90 of it. If you don't use my affiliate link, the company is going to keep all $29. Why do
it doesn't cost you 1 cent more?
Dime more. In fact, oftentimes, because I'm an affiliate, I can give people a free trial. I can give people something that the company doesn't even offer up front, because they will give their affiliates special offers to offer that they don't even offer themselves, which is so bizarre, but it's true. And but people sometimes, oh, well, I'm not going to use your affiliate link. Really? All right. Okay. That's fine. But it's just a very awkward, weird thing that they don't want to. Well, I don't get money for recommending somebody go to a movie. And I'm like, yeah, but
you should.
Why not?
You should.
Yeah. Right? I mean, if you tell everybody, hey, I got this sweater at this really great store. By the way, I did get this sweater at a really great store in Houston, in the Houston airport. Why I'm basically being a free sales rep. My husband and I both laugh at the people. I mean, people buy shirts all the time that advertise brands. They spend money to wear a shirt that says Nike on it or whatever. Like, that should be the company sending out free shirts. But
exactly. I think about that all the time. I am just not a name brand person anyway, but I have had some Gloria Vanderbilt when brands were just starting to do that. And it had the little Gloria Vanderbilt name, but it was small, right? Levi's and Wranglers. When I was growing up in Houston, we were the Levi's or Wranglers, and you were loyal to one or the other. But
Lee jeans, they were really big. Remember Lee jeans?
I remember Lee too.
Yep.
Yeah. But so it doesn't, it's a win-win when a company has word of mouth sales. I mean, you're going to recommend your favorite restaurant, and you're not going to get anything from it. Netflix isn't going to pay you for recommending a new show.
Right.
But your coffee company does. My Zenzino, my people do, just because we become loyal, avid, fans of something. Mm-hmm. I would never, ever, you couldn't pay me $1 million to advertise or say in something about something that I don't use or don't like. I wouldn't do it. Right. It's got to be something I love. $1 million? I don't even think, I'm so not money motivated that I don't think so. I mean, I can't yeah, I can't be, it's not authentic to me if I don't like it.
Yeah, no, I
Couldn't
agree.
do it.
100%. And, network marketing to that end, network marketing is very similar to affiliate marketing. It has a different spin, and definitely people have different ideas about it because in many cases, more than one person gets paid. And that's where people get stuck with it. They're like, well, only the people at the top make the money because they got all confused by what a pyramid scheme is, which network marketing is not.
It is not. And I just this last weekend, oh yeah, well those pyramid things. I was like, what's a
I'm talking
government?
about a pyramid.
Somebody
Let's
at the
talk about
top, some what's a corporation? They're all shaped like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's talk about Starbucks. Starbucks is I think it's still a privately held company, but
I call it big bucks.
yeah, it is. It absolutely is. And everybody all the way down the chain from the people who make it to the people who ship it to the people who sell it to the people who provide it. I mean, and it's a really wide base and one at the top. That's a pyramid. So what's the difference? And if you can get it, and on top of it, here's one other thing. If you can support your friend, your sister, your neighbor, why aren't you?
And thank you for that, because I got burned so much over the past that I kind of I'm hesitant to put something out there that I know is really changing health, lives, and you do too. And we've got these amazing things, but I'm kind of hesitant to put it out there because, well, you've got, the pyramid schemes and.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm pretty loyal. I was with one company 16 years, another company 16 years that just got bought out by another company that's been around 20 years. And, so I'm loyal. It's not like I'm jumping ship all over the place, but when I love something, I was always like, oh, you got to try it.
Yeah.
So I backed off on that. So I need to actually was thinking about that this morning. I need, I'm selfish if I don't share it because it will help people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. 100%. We got, and that's, again, go back to that passion, go back to that knowing. And, I think to a degree, if people are that way, if people treat you that way, they're not your people.
No, that's for sure. And there's 8 billion people in this world, and we don't, there's plenty for everyone. I don't believe in competition. I believe there's more collaboration, and I know you're on that page too. We can collaborate even if we're in the same. There's some, there's some networking groups that only one type of person can be in this group, only one realtor, only one car dealer,
I was part of it for 7 years.
And it just didn't resonate with me. I don't like that realtor, I like everybody. So that's probably not really the case, but I mean, it's like, but my sister was a realtor, owned a Century 21 office, so it was just very too structured for me.
Yeah.
And so I'm
actually
very,
a member of that. And you're right. The rules aren't that you have to use them. The rules are that we are supposed to, it's still about relationship, right? If you develop the relationship with the people, the concept is that you're going to get to know, like, and trust them, that you're going to see them all the time. But yeah, I mean, if you're not beholden to it, that's a whole nother trauma story I could share, actually, but I guess I won't right now.
Well, let's, we're down to the last 10 minutes here, but, LeAnnLyon.com, LeAnnLyon.com. She has so much to offer, and, from free resources all the way to building your business with you or for you. This technology that we use, unlimited, and one aspect, one place in it, it has unlimited landing pages, and she's got videos and training on how to do that, how to do all these things. And you won't find a more generous leader, in my estimation.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Charla. I am going to be redoing all those videos because they have changed the platform. Thankfully, the website development part of it has not really changed, but when you change the face of it, everything looks a little different. So it's time. It's time to redo all those. And yeah, it's a daunting task in some cases. I was just on a call with another technology that I'm going to be excited to launch shortly. And I think it will help many show hosts and many other business owners as well to get a lot more traction. I jumped on they have a daily call where you can come in and they do a quick overview and they answer your questions. Well, I ended up being the only person in there today. And so it was a 1-to-1 with the head guy. And at the end of it, I said, well, you clearly know this software as well as I know mine. I invited him to be on my summit. So I sent him the link and we'll see if he fills it out. And I think he'd be a really great, I think he'd have a lot to share with us about the importance of video for business owners today. And yes, they have a video solution. It's not for podcasters. It's not specifically. How I will use their software is a little non-traditional to how I think they mean for it to be used, but I will also use it their way. And it's a beautiful system. So I'm always looking for the new, trying to keep up with the latest. And it's my pleasure to share those with people.
Well, that's, great. I mean, you're attracting amazing things, and there's no lack of intriguing things. I wrote years and years ago, I had a saying, when intriguing opportunities present themselves and you say yes, things show up. And that's how I got to be on this show. But it was a meme that I had posted 5 years ago, and it came up on memory today, and I'm like, I'm just going to reshare that, because what intriguing opportunities have I done in the last 5 years? Quite a few. and so have you, right? So we've got, well, it's fun to share, and it's fun to be active and alive. I mean, I'm in my 70s now, and I ain't stopping, right? So we just keeping on, and having a great time, and laughing is in your title, learn, laugh, and leap. Lead with LeAnn. All of these L words that fit so nice in your lovely name. With another L.
Well, it's fine. I mean, I named the show originally, it was called Lead with LeAnn, because I love alliteration. I always have. And I thought, oh, that's cute. And then I was also, I am a John Maxwell trained speaker and presenter. So I was doing, my original concept was to teach John Maxwell leadership type concepts as part of my show. But what I found out very, very quickly was I dreaded the shows that I had to do that presentation, and I really enjoyed the shows where I was just having conversation. And it's very similar to what you're doing here. I find, like you, pretty much everybody is fascinating. And so I honed that into talking with exceptional leaders that had stories to share about leadership, but now, more specifically about entrepreneurship. Where have they had stumbling blocks? Where have they run up against it? When did they want to quit? And so my new show will become a little more targeted to those types of questions as well. But it's just been a really great ride doing Lead with LeAnn. Many of those shows will make it over onto the new platform. But I realized, there's only a few hundred, maybe a few thousand people who know who LeAnn is at all. And so when you're naming a platform, you're naming a podcast, it really needs to attract people who don't know who you are at all. And so
so mine, Charla Anderson, nobody knows who Charla Anderson is, but I'm not changing it anytime soon. It's just, I've had that brand for a long time. So
to be fair, you're also an author, but you are an author, and people can look up who you are. And it's different when you have multiple books, as you do. And you can use those books to go on a speaking tour, or you could be you can be keynote speaker and different things like that. So, and I'm not going to say that there isn't a book coming out. There will be. I have at least 2 in mind right now, and those will get underway, but not this month.
Not today.
Not today.
Today. Oh, that's great.
It's going to happen till maybe I'm on the boat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so, and your dream, might as well speak it aloud.
Sure. So I am. First goal is we will have this house that I'm sitting in finished. We live in a under construction home at the moment. We bought it unfinished and finishing it. With that being paid off fully, 100%, we will have it and then buy a boat. We're looking at about a 42-foot trawler, which is a very stable boat that can go on the ocean. We live in Minnesota, however. You may know that there's no oceans nearby. However, we are attached to oceans via the Mississippi River and others, and including the Great Lakes. And it turns out you can leave Minnesota, get down to the Gulf, go around the Florida, up the East Coast, back into and get to the Great Lakes, down to Chicago, and get back to the Mississippi and return to Minnesota. So that's called the Great Loop. And I will continue running my show and my business while we travel the Great Loop. And we plan to do that over 2 to 3 years' time, depending on what other things come up during that period of time. So
it's so fun. And the more you speak, I believe you ask, believe, expect, and receive. And so I think the more you speak what you desire, the more you're going to get it. So
I picture it and I talk about it almost every single day.
That's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah. So follow that journey because it's coming and I can't wait.
That'll be so. You're going to be running 2 separate podcasts, right?
At least.
I mean, eventually, right now. And then when that one comes, I'm sure that's going to be like a journey, a vlog, a video log or something, whatever they call it. So
to some degree, yeah, I'm sure. And I think because this is what I love to do, even the gentleman I just met with right before here, he said, "What do you do?" And I told him, and I said, "And I have a podcast." He goes, "I can get that." Yep, your voice. I get it. So again, these are God's gifts to me. It's my duty to use those gifts to reach people. And if I can inspire people to start a business, inspire people to see God's great, beautiful world by traveling along or being inspired to take a trip, so many stories I could share with that. And I've been blessed to go to 49 states and 23 countries already. So
that's more than I've done as a 34-year flight attendant. So I never kept track of them, sadly, but
Yeah, no, it's a big, beautiful world, and we should get out there and enjoy as much of it as we can. We've got our 70, 80 years if we're, maybe more if we're a little luckier, but not all of those years do we feel like traveling. So get out there and do it when you're young, when you're 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s.
We've got Lisa Mosby, the other show host that's in this group here that we just keep kind of close-knit. She's in Africa right now for a month or so, and she's just choosing to live the laptop lifestyle, and amazing stories that she's got, and just choosing, lives in Airbnbs or whatever. So, you can, it's amazing. What if you have an intriguing opportunity that something up here? What if you just do it? I say I ain't skinny. I've always been provided for. So I'm sure that what you need shows up so often. So
yeah, her show is actually called A Bit of Insight with Lisa Mosby, but she also has a group called Living My Bucket List. And that's what she's doing. She's in South Africa right now, living her bucket list, and I couldn't be more.
So fun. Well, I know we've had a guest or two come on, and nobody spoke up, and it's time to go now. So I thank you so very much, LeAnn. I just love you, and this has been a fun time. I just love having we hadn't had this much time to talk in a while, so it was great. Oh, thank you. And And so the Charla Anderson Show, Collector and Connector of Fascinating People, every week live. And LeAnn, we're still going to be live every week, one way or the other, somewhere. So we'll let you know. LeAnn, I love you so much.
Figuring some of that stuff out right now, but hopefully, if you're hearing this on replay, you'll hear it later. So thank you, Charla. Thank you for having me here today, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Well, blessings, and always, always, always choose joy.
Parting is such sweet sorrow. The Charla Anderson Show, encouraging you to stand strong and courageous with bold faith, no fear, immense hope, kindness, and love, especially towards yourself. Visit charlaanderson.com for replays, blogs, and more on her ever-expanding website, as well as watch her live TV show on WinWinWomen.tv, Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And so that we can continue learning together and growing this community of beautiful souls, we invite you to share the Charla Anderson Show with your circle of friends. Until we meet again next week, remember always, choose joy.